Shirley Moore on HRM.
Good afternoon. It's that time of the week. You listen to me, Shirley Worley. I am very happy this week because I am not alone in the studio. I've got a guest. Woo! Well, I'll celebrate myself. Alison's doing it too. I have got Allison Summers from the Kenward Trust.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Alison.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So, yes, I'm pleased to say I've got Alison in the studio who's very passionate about what she does for a living. So you are, and I'm going to pass it over to you, Alison.
Okay. All right then. Okay.
It's all yours.
Thank you. So I've been asked to come in because I work for Kenward Trust based in Yalding, Maidstone, Kent, and I am the projects lead there. It is drug and alcohol rehab, and it's been going for over 55 years now.
55 years?
Yes.
Wow. So how did it start?
How did it start?
Yeah.
It started because of a family. They were a farming family, and they got to their senior years and they felt they had a faith, and they felt that they wanted to give back to the community in some way. And so they ended up going up to London to where the homeless were and St Martin's in the Field, and realised, I mean, we're talking like 60s, realised that actually a way to help people is to not leave them in the situation that they're in. So they actually brought them back down to the farm and they worked the land, and that was happening. And eventually they kind of outgrew the farm and looked for bigger premises. And so Kenward Trust was purchased in 68. And since then it's been a drug and alcohol rehab, and it still is today.
That sounds absolutely amazing. And I'm not going to show off, but I did a little bit of research. Okay. So Ray and Violet Sinden.
That's right, they are.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, that is just simply amazing. What a lovely thing to do. And it's good for people to be able to recognise that people need that kind of support, isn't it? Well, I'm going to ask you the big question.
What's the big question?
The big question. How did you get into this role?
Oh, well, that happened out of a conversation I had with a friend of mine. She was already working for Kenward Trust, and I was looking to change my job. And she said that there was a space available at the Kenward Trust, and it was in the youth service at that time. So that's where I went for an interview, and I got a job in the youth service of Kenward Trust. All those years ago.
Oh, all those years ago.
I've done various different things since then in Kenward Trust, but all those years ago.
Oh, bless your heart. So could you just enlighten me? Because before your actual text message to our chairman, Eunice, I wasn't familiar with this trust. So obviously I've done a little bit of research. Would you just enlighten us of what type of rehabilitation services that you provide?
Yes, well, we've got residential rehab, which is on the site of Kenward. And then we provide a move-on service. So people that have gone through the programme, they can move on to one of our accommodations that are based in Kent, or we've got one in East Sussex as well. And that is the residential side of the service. We've got a youth side of the service still. It's still going strong and has been for a long time, going out to the schools, going out to meet where young people are and do amazing work with educating and helping young people. And then we've now just recently started a day program course it's for people, it's a community-based course. It's for people that don't necessarily need rehab, want rehab, can't do rehab for various reasons, but they could commit to a day a week or a morning or an afternoon a week or even an evening online, just to look at their behaviour around their substances and what's going on for them and their alcohol usage. And if they want to change it, if they feel it's starting to get out of control, and it's going to be a safe and non-judgmental environment.
So is that anonymous?
Or
referral?
They can refer themselves in. You know, people, family and friends can suggest that they do the course. So, and we will just take some information from them, get them onto the course, and they can start doing the course. And they run periodically, and we're soon to start one. Going again.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. So it's really nice that it must be really difficult for somebody to admit to themselves that I've got a problem, because I think in today's society, alcohol can be a go-to, and drugs. It is recreational, seen as, I've had a tough day, give me a glass of wine, or in my case, I'm a beer monster. I know my limits, but some people actually find it as a coping mechanism. It's just, how do they know when it's gone from being a coping mechanism to being out of control? How do you deal with that?
I think that's a really interesting question, because you're right. Socially, we do drink alcohol. It's a society thing, and also recreational drugs now. The thing with it is you start using and you can put it down. You start using, you can put it down. And gradually your body and brain starts to change, and emotions, where you may get to a point where actually, instead of putting it down, you find that actually it's your go-to thing when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling a bit depressed. And then if that carries on and continues and you don't recognize the signs, pretty soon you can realize, well, actually, it's gone too far now. I actually, instead of wanting it and leaving it, I actually need it.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line, and very often it's the other people in our world that can spot those signs maybe quicker than the person that's going down that route. And so we do have a services for family and friends that will support them as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, a bit of a touchy subject, but my dad had a drink problem. We could never tell him. He would never listen. His go-to in the morning was a can of anything that was alcoholic. And when we tried to say to him, Dad, I think you need to back off a bit, in those days, without giving my age away, he was being a man's man.
Right.
Yep. So it was just, I'm just doing it. I can handle it, but you clearly can't handle it. And it is, as you said a minute ago, family and friends often recognise it before you do yourself. And that's so difficult. And you must see that day in, day out.
Yes, it is true. We do. And that we see family phone up concerned about their loved one, how to get help, what to do with the getting help and that. And we kind of talk to them. We signpost them. We offer them the support. And just sometimes it's quite simply about listening. They've not really been able to share with anybody, or they've held their emotions in for so long. They're just somebody on the end of a phone just listening.
Yeah.
Is sometimes just a big help and a big relief to start with. And then we can give some really clear information. And it's always a choice whether they choose to take the information or not. But, we're just there to support people.
Absolutely. And it's nice to hear that there's an ear to listen there, because I think in today's society, the stigma about alcoholism and drugs is huge, isn't it? And people are frightened about their reputation, their livelihood. And I don't know if you think, Alison, do you think it worsened after COVID-19?
Well, I certainly think that COVID's had an impact in all sorts of things over life. COVID was just a massive thing, and the impact on people is a lot. And I do think that possibly people use that, as we said, it was a coping strategy and it was a go-to. And when you start to use it as a go-to, getting out of that habit of it being a go-to is not as easy sometimes. Yeah. So it's a very interesting question, and time will tell the impact if it did. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. COVID-19 was stressful for anybody and everybody, wasn't it? And being locked in and not being able to go anywhere. But some shops were open, alcohol was readily available. You were just literally, I know some people felt like they were caged animals, and alcohol was that go-to. And it's really, really sad. And obviously drugs as well, because I think nowadays they're more freely available, and people, I think, tend to go for them a lot more than they used to. Have you actually noticed in any particular period of time over the years that there's been a bigger increase? Has there been any kind of, if you look at the 60s,
so long ago,
no, I'm going to say before us, clearly before us, but it was free love, drugs, alcohol. Yeah. And then you got the 70s, the 80s was a little bit different because you had all the different political things going on, AIDS, all of that kind of thing. But has there ever been a time, maybe when you've been working for them, that there seemed to be a bigger increase in people reaching out for alcohol and drugs?
I think one of the things I recognise working in this industry is that it is constant.
Right.
I think that it is constant, and I think that maybe now people don't feel as stigmatized to reach out. I know I said earlier there is a stigma, but maybe we're starting to get over that a bit, and people feel that they can reach out more to get their help sometimes. Because we do talk about a lot of things more these days than we did in the past, quite openly sometimes. So there is a case of, let's talk about this. Let's keep an open dialogue. Let's not stigmatize something that actually is a person really needing help.
You're listening to me, Shirley, and I have got a guest with me, and it's Allison Summers from the Kenward Trust. So hi again, Alison.
Hello.
We were having a natter actually, and I was just saying to Alison that I have got a text message from a friend, and it says here, personal story, and on the guest today, I self-medicated with drink and drugs before I got my depression and anxiety disorders diagnosed. I never hid it and freely spoke to counsellors about it. Don't be ashamed to seek help. And good for you for doing that, because a lot of people do hide it. And Alison, what's your thought about that?
About people hiding it?
Yeah.
It's difficult because if you look at some of the reasons why people hide it, it's because they might feel a sense of shame that they've got into a situation where they think they ought to be able to control drink and drugs, and they've got to a situation where they can't control it. And there's often a feeling of guilt, shame, that they've let themselves down, they've let the family down, and they really can't talk about it because they're not sure how it would be received by people, and it's hard to seek help, which is why we try to make it easier to move the barrier from that away from them so they could seek help. And it's not anybody's life plan to end up in rehab or end up with an addiction problem. It's not why they started out. So we don't want to judge, and we don't want to stigmatize something that's really difficult to work through.
Absolutely. And Sue, I know you are quite open about stuff, so thank you very much for that message, that kind message. Alison, how does the Kenward Trust involve the local community in its efforts?
We do fun things on site. We've recently had a classic car show. We've got another one coming up in September. People can go onto the website and find out all the details, but you can come on and enjoy the grounds, enjoy the cars, enjoy the cafe. We have a cafe on site as well that's open some of the week. We also have got alpacas and goats. So on the Kenward site, you can come and
I love goats.
Do you?
I absolutely love goats.
So you can come and walk an alpaca. You can come and meet and greet an alpaca. You can come and say hello to the goats. They're okay. They're interesting and they're lovely. And we've got stuff in our foyer, so you can buy key rings, mugs, soft toys, all sorts of things. And we just have a fun time.
Oh, sounds brilliant. I'm sorry about getting excited, but alpacas, yeah, they're great, but goats, I love them. And it's good because the people that are residential, they obviously get to do a lot of, if you're a resident, okay, whether it's drugs or alcohol related, what do you do, or what does that person do if they're a resident there?
Okay, yeah, very good question. If they're a resident there, then it's a group work program that they are on. So their days, Monday to Friday, will be taken up with the group work program, and some evenings as well. There's optional groups for them to be able to attend. And then at the weekends, they do have freedom to go into town and to go off site. But it is, a person will usually stay with us around about 12 weeks. Sometimes they get further extensions for funding. And if they want to, they can stay on. And then during that time that they're there, they'll have counselling. They'll have working with a staff member, a key worker, to look at the practical side of their life and help them if they've got into debt, to help them with that, to help them with housing, to help them with things that they need to work through that has been a cause of them being in substance use. So we try and meet every kind of need at the different levels.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So their decline, you basically are building them back up brick by brick to reintroduce them to society and everyday living. You just mentioned then funding.
Yes.
So you are a charity.
We are, yes.
So how are you funded?
We are funded. People, when they come to us, they are funded by the local drug services. So around the country, we have drug services, and they will fund a place for somebody to come to us. We also have people that self-fund, so they can come themselves to us as well. So there's a couple of ways that people can access our services. So it's available to all.
So, exactly. It's available to everybody. No, that's absolutely amazing. You have got some new initiatives, okay? And when you first messaged our Eunice, you mentioned community counselling service.
Yes.
A day treatment programme.
Yes.
Friends and family loved one service and training packages for business. So would you like to discuss?
Yes. Where do you want to start?
Right, I tell you what, I'm interested from the friends and family and loved ones service. I'm interested in that one.
Okay. So the way that works at the moment is this telephone service on a Monday between 12 and 2. And I will spend time, they can phone into the service, and I'll just talk about the concerns with the friends and family. We'll signpost them to different services or things that they would need, and just be there to listen to them. And they can phone in once, they can phone in again. And if they phone in throughout the week outside those times, I'll make a note of the numbers and we'll respond to them. So 12 and 2 is a designated time to respond to the friends and families on a Monday. So it's almost like sometimes they're the forgotten group of people.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right there. You've hit the nail on the head, because the person with I hate to say this, the addiction or the problem, and I'm doing inverted commas here, you can't say that. The focus is always on them, but it's the people that are supporting in the background that often take the brunt of, and again, inverted commas, the problem. So, or the addiction. So, no, that's really good. So what about the community counselling service?
So the community counselling service is that individuals can phone up or email in and say that they'd like to talk about some issue around their drugs or alcohol, or it can be a family member. And then they can sign up to to access our counselling service. And we will see them either online or in person.
Can I just ask you a really sort of pertinent question? What if you've got somebody, for example, that doesn't realise they've got a problem? I want to say like a whistleblower. Can you get in contact with somebody to say, has that person with the addiction got to voluntarily they've got
I'm nodding my head. Again, there's no video in here and you can't see it, but actually I'm nodding my head. I said it is because that the person that's in addiction or that thinks they're going down a road where they might be getting into trouble with substances or alcohol, they have to want to make a change and make a choice to change.
Okay.
They can't be volunteered by somebody else to make that change, because they're not going to engage in it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to buy into it. They're not going to. That you have to want to do it for yourself.
Exactly. And that leads me into the day treatment program.
Yes, day treatment program. Yes, we've recently started the day treatment program course. And that is where, again, people haven't got time for rehab. Their situation might be that they just can't commit a whole week or 12 weeks to rehab, but they know that they need something. That to go down the path that they're going down is just going to not be helpful to them. We run this course in different guises. It's we run it off three days over 3 weeks, or we run it in the morning or the afternoon over 6 weeks, or we run it online in the evening. And they can come and just look in a safe environment, in a group situation, so it's with other people. It's about their substance use or alcohol use. What makes them drink a lot? What causes it? Do they feel that they need to change their drinking habits? Are there any unhealthy behaviours going on? And we will come to our site at Kenward. It's tranquil and peaceful, and it's just space and time to think about those things.
Yeah, so to reflect, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, then. So training packages for businesses.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'd like to know this, because I'm from the power industry, okay? So we were constantly drugs and alcohol tested. Mm-hmm. So the employer has got a duty of care for the employee. So how do you find that works when you're talking to businesses?
This is a very new service that we're developing, and I think the idea behind it is that we just want to reach out to businesses and say, can we work with you? Can we work together? Do you need any kind of like, do your employers, do yourself need any education or information around dealing with substance or alcohol issues? Do you have any concerns? Is there something that we can do? Can we offer you a training package? Can we offer you information? Can we offer you support in that area? So we're really open to have an open dialogue and discussion with businesses about, we are here. What is it you need? Can we help you achieve what you need?
That's brilliant. I mean, it's just incredibly difficult now, isn't it? Because of the modern day society, the pressures, people's concept, and I hate to say this, is like you'll pass some poor homeless person that's got a drink problem, but what else have they got? What have they got? So why would you want to give them hell for living on the street because they've lost everything? They've lost everything for a reason, or it could be by choice, but alcohol tends to be their go-to, doesn't it? And, you know, that's really, really sad. But with employers, they have got that duty of care, and it is good that today that employers do look out for their employees, because at the end of the day, they're their most valuable asset, aren't they? Is there anything else you would like to talk about, Alison? Is there anything that you would like to...
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to come on and talk about this and just get out there in the community and just kind of spread the word about Kenward Trust and what we do and the new services initiative. I mean, we have the counselling and we have the recovery coaching, which is that when people find that they've reduced or stopped substances, it's the encouragement to keep going, because there will be hurdles, there will be ups, there will be downs, to keep going. And maybe just a little bit of recovery support and coaching and that, along with the counselling, just helps people. We offer that as well. And it's just a way of saying we wanted to make sure we cover every element of society, from the young person in education to the person that's unfortunately ended up in addiction, ended up through our daughters, has now put their life back together with our support, gone to our move-ons, and then after that got into their own accommodation and starting to live life again. And it's finding themselves again and living life again. And we have been doing this for 55 years. It's wonderful to see people transform, their self-worth improves, their belief in themselves again improves, and the fact that they want to be part of society.
Part of society again, it's actually. So I'm going to ask you one last question,
okay,
if that's okay then. So how can people in the community support the Kenward Trust and its mission? So what can we do?
Come and visit us. On the real side of it, come and visit us. Come walk the alpacas. Come to our classic car shows. We have other things throughout the year. Come to the cafe. If you want to find out more about us in support, and in terms of if you wanted to find out how to support us and you felt that the way you wanted to support was financial, then just get in touch with us. Just anything. We have volunteers. Come volunteer with us. We have volunteer opportunities as well. So if it's whatever you feel that you would like to be part of, really.
Of course. Yep. Right then. So to conclude the interview, how do we get in contact with you?
Okay. The easiest way to get in touch with us is to send us an email, which is confidential.advice@kenwardtrust.org.uk. Or you can telephone 01622 814 187. And if you want to be involved in any of the programs that we run, you can also phone 07597 0400 91. So the phone numbers again are 01622 814 187 or 07597 0400 91, or email confidential.advice@kenwardtrust.org.uk. And if you want to get in touch with specifically the bit of the rehab, you can also phone 01622 812603.
Oh, Alison, it's been an absolute pleasure. And you did that like a very true radio presenter. You're like, I know, I wasn't going to let this go.
Okay.
You were a presenter here at HRM, weren't you?
I was, Hospital Radio Medway. I did 5 or 6 years here presenting the evening request show with a couple of other people. It's been quite surreal walking back into the studio again. It's changed. Some of the things have still remained. Some of the challenges have still remained with how the monitors are and things like that. So I'm actually.
But you do like our red bat phone, don't you?
I do like your red bat phone. I mean, I think that's a stroke of genius, really.
It is a stroke of genius, absolutely.
But it's. I have very fond memories of being here and Hospital Radio Medway. So I was really pleased when Eunice and yourself got back to me and said, come in, we'd like to have you do the interview because, I do have fond memories.
Well, I'm absolutely certain Eunice would welcome you back as a presenter. And I know I'm sure you want to. You have enjoyed it. No, in all sincerity, thank you so much on behalf of the Kenward Trust for coming in. You've been listening to me, Shirley Moore, and Allison Summers from the Kenward Trust. Allison, thank you.
To listen to more episodes or find links to all of our programmes and videos, visit hospitalradiomedway.co.uk. You've been listening to Chatterbox.